Let me ask you, is bird really the word? Let's find out. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Sean over here at Valid MTG, and we are continuing my series on where I break down all my commander decks that are still built, because there's some that I broke apart, there's new ones I'm building, but these are the ones that I'm keeping built, as well as some new ones, all that fun stuff. But before we get into this video, guys, what I want y'all to do is I want y'all to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on our future videos. We got deck lists, we got gameplay coming up, and all that fun stuff. Also, leave a like on this video, as well as comment down below. My Moxfield is in the description for this deck. Go take a look at my other decks, see which one I should do next. But yeah, guys, I say we get right into Choco, Seeker of Paradise. So Choco is a Bant commander. For a long time, I didn't like the color white. As a blue player, I don't know. I just never liked it until I saw this commander. I was like, I want to build birds. Well, guess what? There's a lot of great white birds out there. Yeah. But more importantly, I love landfall. Okay, landfall is huge. And so this is built around landfall in Bant. So there's a lot of great things here. I mean, there's some other cards that I can add that will make it really good. But so far, this is the deck that works really well. This is a bracket 2, but it plays like a bracket 3. It keeps up, and maybe even I mean, I've been bracket 4s before with this deck. So this is a great all around deck. But I say we get into it. Let's start off with the commander, Choco, Seeker of Paradise. Whenever one or more birds you control attack, look at that many cards from the top of your library. You may put one of them into your hand, then put any number of land cards from among them onto the battlefield tapped, and the rest into your graveyard. That is where the landfall triggers come in. So my whole plan is to put out a bunch of birds, swing with a lot of birds, and have a lot of landfall triggers. Especially with Choco, whenever a land you control enters, Choco gets +1/+0 until end of turn. That's huge. I've gotten him up to 13 before, so it's really good. Landfall is cracked, and there's a lot of other cards in here that trigger landfall, that double landfall triggers. So we're gonna get into it. Okay. So right off the rip, creatures. Let's talk about Ambrosia Whiteheart, the Flash Choco. When it enters, you may return another permanent you control to its owner hand. This is great for me because I like to return. It's a blink effect, and I have a few cards in here that I do want to blink. And so this allows me to blink a few times, depending on what card's out. But yeah, Ambrosia Whiteheart is huge, and then has landfall as well. Same as Choco. Whenever land enters, it gets +1/+0 until end of turn. Pretty much landfall is the name of the game to make a bunch of birds and make them powerful. So, and as I say that, the next card, Avenger of Zendikar, has nothing to do with birds, but has plants, and birds like plants. Anyways, when Avenger of Zendikar enters the battlefield, create a 0/1 green plant creature token for each land you control. I essentially want a lot of plants out there. And then landfall, whenever land enters the battlefield under your control, you may put a +1/+1 counter on each plant creature you control. Now, if birds are not going, there's a board wipe. I have this card. I am able to win the game with this. And how that has happened is the one way I actually lost to this deck. I let my nephew borrow it. He played Avenger of Zendikar with 16 lands on the board. He then played Banner of Kinship and named plants. He created 16 plants. They each got +16/+16. Swung out on the next turn. Made them even bigger. I took a lot of damage. So this is like another alternate win con card that I have. Creates tokens. creates a big board. That is essentially what I want. So, Avengers Zendikar, great card. I love it. Next up, Aven Interrupter has flash and flying. When Aven Interrupter enters the battlefield, exile target spell. It becomes plotted. Is great for control. As a blue player, able to find control in white was huge. Also, it's a bird. Anything that I can do to add to that Choco trigger, I'm going to do. And then also spells your opponent's cast from graveyards or from exile cost 2 more to cast. This is huge against Danny, who loves black. So he loves graveyard recursion. Same thing with Nate. And, whatever I plot as well is going to cost 2 more. So I can delay a commander. I can delay another big spell, whatever. So, great card, bird. Another bird, Aven Mind Sensor. If opponent will search your library, that player searches the top 4 of that library instead. Huge with fetches, Evolving Wilds, whatever. Cultivate, Farseek. It stops them to 4 cards, which most of the time they're not going to have the cards they're needing on the top 4 cards. If they do, great. If they don't, haha. Helps me out, helps me control. I love control. This is one of the cards I really like to blink, especially with Aven Interrupt. No, not Ambrosia Whiteheart. Sorry. And that's Barton Boko. Has affinity for birds, so the spell costs 1 less to cast. It's going to cost 2 forest every time. But when Barton Boko enters, each other bird I control deals damage equal to its power to target creature in opponent's control. With creatures being huge. Now, granted, this only attacks 1 creature, but if I'm able to flash in and blink, I can take out 2 creatures. If I have, you'll see later, but Roaming Throne, I can do it twice. Traveling Chocobo, I can do it twice. Roaming Throne and Traveling Chocobo, I can do it 3 times. 3 times. No. Yeah, 3 times. So it's a good board wipe. And then I can knock out other players. Like I can restart commanders, whatever. I can turn off engines, whatever I need to do. So Barton Boko is huge. Next up, Bristly Bill Spinesower. Landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. This makes my birds huge. But most importantly, double the number of +1/+1 counters on each creature you control. Big birds, that's what we want. This was actually, I pulled this from a random pack for a video. Hopefully the short's on this channel. But yeah, I was just opening Outlaws of Thunder Junction. I was like, oh, look, Bristly Bill. Did not even think about it until I posted on TikTok, and they were like, nice pull. I was like, oh, that's a great card. And then turns out it's a really good card. So, Bristly Bill's in that deck for the landfall trigger of +1/+1s. Next up, Derevery, Imperial Tactician. All in all, I just want it for bird, for its bird. Whenever it enters and whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you may tap or untap a target permanent. I mean, that's huge for when it comes in and then I attack. I get to tap something, but more, it's a trigger. I'm just using them for bird trigger, all in all, as well as flying. So, I'm not too worried about his ability. So I know that's messed up, but bird. Ameria Angel, another non-bird, but guess what? Landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under my control, I may create a 1/1 white bird creature token with flying. I'm creating birds. Birds help me out. So that is why Ameria Angel is in here. Landfall. I am going to create birds. So, Empyrean Eagle, same thing as the Revi. Except it does have additional costs for my flying creatures because it comes other creatures I control with flying do get +1/+1, so that is huge. Makes them bigger, but more importantly, it's a cheap bird that I get to play and do some triggers. Now, Ezior, Wardwing Familiar. This is my way of making sure that Choco doesn't get targeted or killed by an instant, sorcery, whatever. Spells your opponent's control. Spells your opponent's cast that target your commander. There we go. Costs 3 more to cast. You know, it's great. It's a great counter, or not. Yeah, it's a great counter. Um, that help keep Choco on the battlefield. Now, Falcosparo Pact Weaver. Flying Trample. Falcosparo Pact Weaver enters the battlefield with a shield counter on it. Huge. I may look at the top card of my library at any time. I may cast spells from the top of my library by removing a counter from a creature I control in addition to paying its other cost. So that is why Bristly Bill is also in here, because I can remove +1/+1 counters. I can remove the shield counter, and I get to play cards from the top of my library. So that helps out, especially if I have like some flash things that I'm like, oh, I'm looking for a counter. Oh wait, there's a counter on the top. Let me just do it. So that really helps me out. Gilded Goose, ramp at the start. When it enters, create a food token. I can tap it to create a food token. I can also tap to sacrifice a food, add 1 mana of any color. It's an extra Birds of Paradise, but I like the food token aspect because I can sacrifice it, gain life, as well as add the mana if I'm missing some. But I'm never gonna run out of mana essentially. Like I might get screwed on colors at the beginning, but once I get going, once I get my engine on, it's hard to turn off. So this is a great way to gain life and stuff like that. So, um, this one I have trouble pronouncing. Uh, Gwahir, the Windlord, Gwahir, whatever. The spell costs 2 less to cast as long as you've drawn 2 or more cards this turn. Flying Vigilance. Other birds I control have Vigilance. That is huge. When I pulled this out of a pack, it was an instant add because I want my birds to not tap. Because if I can attack, then keep them up for blockers as well, that's huge. So as soon as I saw other birds I control have Vigilance, I'm going to. Now, other people drawing cards, I'm hoping like someone has card draw because it's going to help out. And then if I see a Ristic Study out, which is very rare because I'm the blue player and I'm the only one who plays Ristic Study, but if I see it out or people are drawing cards on my turns, it's going to cost less, but I'm able to pay for them regardless. Jackdaw Savior. Whenever Jackdaw Savior, another creature I control with flying dies, return another target creature card with lesser mana value from our graveyard to your battlefield. That helps me so much with graveyard recursion. Not just that, another bird. But graveyard recursion is huge. Normally I can bring back like Falcosparo Pact Weaver if I have a big enough creature that dies. And I just start the counters again. But yeah, Jackdaw Savior, great bird. Uh, helps me bring stuff back. Judge's Familiar, another 1 cost. Sacrifice Judge's Familiar, counter target instant or sorcery spell unless its controller pays 1. Very good to have counters out early, as well as a cheap counter. Normally I have a few counters, but if I don't have them in hand or I've already played them, this helps out. Also helps with my bird cost. So, birds. Kanji Skywarden. Whenever Kanji Skywarden attacks, attacking creatures with flying get +2/+0 until end of turn. Whenever Kanji blocks, blocking creatures get +0/+2 until end of turn. So it's a great way to add power as well as add defense. Um, whenever I'm blocking, attacking, whatever. Also adds to the bird counter. So yeah. Now, Castrol the Windcrested, probably most powerful bird. One of my most powerful birds. This one I use its abilities quite a bit. Whenever one of the birds I control deal combat damage to a player, choose one. I may put a bird creature card from your hand or graveyard onto the battlefield with a finality counter on it. So I'm bringing stuff back. I get to put a +1/+1 counter on each bird I control, and then I also get to draw a card. It's huge. I have, whenever they do combat damage, Castrol triggers like crazy. So, um, Castrol, very huge. A card that I want out there with Choco. Um, yeah, it does everything. Everything that I'm wanting. Now Kaikar, Zephyr Awakener. Whenever I cast a non-creature spell, I get to exile another target creature I control. Return that to the battlefield under its owner control at the next end step, so it's another blink effect. Or create a 1/1 white spirit creature token of flying. In all honesty, it's a bird. So you're gonna see that a lot with these. Ledger Shredder. Whenever a player casts their second spell each turn, connives. I'm gonna make Ledger Shredder huge. Um, More importantly, bird. So no, I like the connive aspect because it lets me draw a card um, and discard a card I don't need. So like if I'm like digging for whatever, I love the card draw aspect of it. Mockingbird. You may have Mockingbird enter as a copy of any creature on the battlefield with mana value less than or equal to the amount of mana spent to cast Mockingbird, except it's a bird in addition to its other types and it has flying. I'm going to steal someone's. I'm going to steal someone's. What's it called? Steal someone's creature. I can also make another. Well, I don't want a legendary creature, but like I can make another Maria Angel, and I can get double landfall triggers. Um, I can do a few of my non-legendary creatures. Another Ledger Shredder. Yeah, there's cool things that I can do with it. More importantly, I'm going to steal someone else's commander, especially like SpongeBob, where I can get +1/+1 for each legendary creature. So then my legendary birds get huge. So I assess the board, but I can do other things with it. Owl Bear Cub has Mama's coming. Whenever Owl Bear Cub attacks a player who controls 8 or more lands, look at the top 8 cards of my library. I may put a creature card from among them onto the battlefield tapped and attacking that player. Put the rest on the bottom. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in random order. This is great for late game. This lets me put out some crazy cards. I wish I had a Craterhoof Behemoth. I own one. I just don't see the point of having it in here. I really just want a bunch of bird triggers and a bunch of landfall triggers, which I'll create a bunch of birds, and Craterhoof would be huge, but I don't want to take anything out because this deck has been wonderful for me so far. So yeah. Paradise Chocobo. It's also Birds of Paradise. The way Moxfield has it as Paradise Chocobo, but I'm pretty sure this is the Birds of Paradise copy. Depending on what image I grabbed. There's a website I use that just gives me all the images, so I don't have to go search for everything. Since Moxfield doesn't let you export the images anymore. So Paradise Chocobo, aka Birds of Paradise, flying at 1 mana of any color. I'll swing with Birds of Paradise, in all honesty, just for Choco triggers. But it's also huge early game to help me get stuff out. So, Rampaging Ballots, another non-bird, but has landfall. Whenever a land I control enters, I create a 4/4 green beast creature token. I'm going to create a bunch of creatures. At one point I had 12 beast out. That's just name of the game. You know what I mean? So it's just a chance for me to have something to block as well as swing with. Realm Walker. Changeling. As it enters, choose a creature type. I'm obviously going to choose birds. I may look at the top card of my library anytime. I may cast creature spells of the chosen type from the top of my library. Another way for me to see what's coming next and cast stuff from the top of my library, especially if it's a card I need. Realm Walker is huge. This is a card that I like putting in multiple decks just because it is a changeling. And I just want to see what's coming next. All in all. So Roaming Throne has Ward 2 as it enters the battlefield. Choose a creature type. Again, birds. Roaming Throne is the chosen type in addition to its other types. If a triggered ability of another creature you control of the chosen type triggers, it triggers an additional time. Multiple triggers. Now it doesn't work with like my Rampaging Ballast, Avengers Zendikar, my other non-birds, but with birds, um, it'll trigger. I can get multiple Castrol triggers. I can get multiple um, Ambrosia Whiteheart triggers, stuff like that. So that is huge for me. And I just want stuff to trigger. Traveling Chocobo triggers. It's nice. Next up, Saz Chocobo. Whenever a land I control enters, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. This 0/1 can turn into a 13/13 fast. Um, it's huge. Roaming Throne will trigger it twice. Traveling Chocobo will trigger it twice. It is fantastic. It gets big for a little guy. So, Sauce Chocobo, just another early on creature that lets me just keep building and building and building. Summon Choco Mog. Other creatures you control get +1/+0 until end of turn. This Saga Bird, I get it for 4. I get it for 4 minutes. Anyways, uh, bird trigger, but +1/+0 helps out quite a bit. Summon Fat Chocobo. I create a bird token. Huge. But then for 3 turns, creatures you control gain trample until end of turn. That is what I want. I want to be able to trample over with birds. And plants, but more importantly, birds. I want to do damage so that way I get other triggers like Castrol and stuff like that. So, huge. We're in landfall. We got Tatiova. Tater Tot. We got Tater Tot. Okay, landfall. Whenever a land I control enters, gain 1 life, draw a card. Life gain's huge. Drawing card is huge. This does both. And for 5, it's easy to get there, but whenever Choco triggers, especially if I have multiple Choco triggers, it's gonna have great value and let me find what I need. The Goose Mother. Flying, the Goose Mother enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it. When it enters the battlefield, create half X food tokens. Huge. Whenever the Goose Mother attacks, you may sacrifice a food. If I do, draw a card. We love food. We love to gain life. We love to draw cards. We love Goose Mother. Goose Mother is a Hydra. Should I put Goose Mother in Zexara? Anyways, well, think about that later. Goose Mother is a bird, a big bird. We love birds. We love big bird. But I love the food tokens, especially with Gilded Goose. It's going to be huge. We have Tireless Provisioner. Whenever it enters under my control, create a food token or a treasure. I'm going with treasure. If I can keep mana open for other things, great. But so I'm going to sack those treasures real early on, so that way I get the value, or I just create a bunch of food as well. Because birds love to eat food. We have bird food. That was terrible. But no, Tireless Provisioner Landfall trigger, really good. Now, Traveling Chocobo. You may look at the top card of my library at any time. Great. You may play lands and cast bird spells from the top of your library. Great. If a land or bird you control entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to a trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. Great. Landfall is huge. I guess Choco doesn't trigger off this. Anyways, landfall is huge. I get double landfall triggers with this card. Yeah, Traveling Chocobo. This is a card I actually run in standard on Arena. I built a mono green landfall deck around Traveling Chocobo. It gets out of hand. So, yeah. Now, another bird that I just used because it's a bird. But Yorion Sky Nomad. It is a companion. It is not. It is in the 99. Has flying. When Yorion enters the battlefield, exile any number of other non-land permanents you own and control. Return those to the battlefield at the beginning of the next instead. This is good for Bart's and Boko, but really, it's a bird. I really don't do anything else. I could probably do Banner of Kinship as like another restart. But I mean, other than that, that's what I use it for. Is just a bird. So, yeah. So yeah, those are the creatures. I have about 33 creatures in this deck. Um, like I said, mostly birds, mixture of other creatures that do have landfall or trigger landfall. So it's very helpful. Very helpful. Create a bunch of birds. Get after it. So let's move on to sorceries. So for sorceries, I have about 10 sorceries. All do different things. More ramp than anything. So like right off the rip, Circassius Route. Search your library for up to 2 basic land cards and or gate cards. Yes, I run about 3 gates. Yeah, 3 gates. Put them onto the battlefield tapped and shuffle. Great way to go get cards, create landfall triggers. It's awesome. Next, I have Cultivate. Search my library for up to 2 basic land cards. Reveal those cards. Put one onto the battlefield tapped and the other one into your hand and shuffle. Normally, I'll play Cultivate so that way I can go ahead and get the 2 triggers without playing my land first. But yeah, Cultivate, another ramp spell. Another one, Farseek. Search my library for a plains, island, swamp, or mountain card. Put it onto the battlefield tapped and shuffle. More than likely, I'm going to go get Sparrow's headquarters. The tricycle land, just for me to have that ability to tap for whatever color I need. Gishaw greens, a way for me to create bird tokens. Create a 2/2 bird creature token with whenever a land I control enters, it gets +1/+0 until end of turn. Also, what's huge is flashback. So if I need more birds, I want more Choco trigger, a bigger Choco trigger, I'll play this card. I'll flashback and create those tokens. So it's huge. Kodama's Reach. Search my library for up to 2 basic land cards. Reveal those cards. Again, it's just a cultivate. Put one on the battlefield, the other one into my hand, then shuffle. Or not cultivate. What was it? Farce? No, cultivate. Yeah, cultivate. Kodama's Reach. Landfall. Migratory Route. Create 4 1/1 white bird creature tokens with flying. Just a way for me to create birds. More triggers. Nature's Lore. Search my library for a forest card. I have a few. I don't have any of the shocks in here, but I do have some forest cards. I'm trying to think of one. I know I'll go search for Sparrow's headquarter with it. Dude, I'm blanking on what cards I have. Anyways, I'll even get a basic forest. Raise the Palisade. If I have a great board, people have a great board, I want to win the game, I'm going to raise the Palisade. Choose a creature type, birds. Return all creatures that aren't of the chosen type to their owner's hands. Great way to restart, win the game. Rampant Growth. Search my library for a basic land card. Put that onto the battlefield. Tap and shuffle. We love ramp, especially if it grows us. Rampant Growth. Anyways, that was terrible, I know. 3 visits. Search your library for a force card. Put it onto the battlefield and shuffle. Again, I'm going to go find something. Trigger landfall. So those are the 10 sorceries I have. Mostly ramp. A few that give me tokens. And then one that I consider a win con. Raise the Palisade. To like return everything. It's a cheaper Cyclonic Rift. Essentially, the only downside is if someone has changelings, they stay on the battlefield. So, yeah, Raise the Palisade. Those are my sorcery. Now, instants are the same. I only have 10 instants. I had a few, but I added a few more that I feel like were needed. So, let's go through them. So, Auroral Procession. I already had this. Return target card from your graveyard to your hand. Great way for me to bring something back to the graveyard. Let's say if my Roaming Throne dies, I can bring it back. Bant Charm. Destroy target artifact. Put target creature on the bottom of its owner's spell. But what I mostly use it for is counter target instant spell. I'm still a blue player. I love counters. I actually don't have a counter spell in this deck, which is weird, but I have other things that let me counter. Decisive Denial. Choose one. Target creature you control fights target creature you don't control. That's huge if I have a big creature, but more specifically, counter target non-creature spell unless its controller pays 3. Again, I am going to be a blue player and control the board. Uh, Flurry of Wings. This card has helped me out huge. There was a bracket 4 I was playing where he created a bunch, tapped out, was like, I'm just going to win the game. Boom, boom, boom. And I was like, oh, I was tapped out. And I was like, whew, okay. Flurry of Wings. Put X1/1 white bird soldier creature tokens with flying into play, where X is the number of attacking creatures. I was essentially able to stall out, block everything, and then um, finish the game by swinging at them. We were the only two left, so that was a great way for me to win that game. This was a recent ad, Heroic Intervention. Now, I know what you're thinking. That seems like a smart ad. Why wasn't it at the beginning? I honestly forgot Heroic Intervention existed when building this deck. But permanents you control gain hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. If there's a huge board wipe that's non-exile, this is going to help me. I've lost a lot of birds to Blasphemous Act, as well as another one that does a delayed fire blast. Yeah, that's the red card. That does damage to everything. This has helped me out multiple times. So when I added it, it's worked out great. Also stops from having one of my creatures get targeted. Another way to protect Choco, so it gets hexproof. All that fun stuff. Path to Exile, a white card that lets me control. They go get a basic. Sometimes I'll put this on my own creature just so I can get landfall triggers. Because it exiles target creature, its controller may search their library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, and shuffle. Great way to trigger landfall. For one, absolutely. Now, Purge Protection. This card I actually found in when my buddy Nate and his wife Ronnie bought a Bumbleflower deck, and they like both play it. But Ronnie pulled this card out, and I was like, "Ooh, that's a great." She phased out, gave me the extra turn when I was playing Dragon. Shouldn't have done that, but created 4/2/2s, phased out. Um, Made Hudson really mad when I got the extra turn with her because I was right after her. So I had two turns. It was great. But yeah, Purge Protection, huge ad, more birds. I get to phase out in tough situations and then come back and wreak havoc. Of course, I'm going to put a Strict Serenade in here. It's a counter target artifact creature or planeswalker spell. Its controller creates a 2/2 blue bird creature token with flying. It's a counter that with a bird on it. So you're probably wondering, do you have Swan Song? I do. Swan Song, counter target enchantment, instant, or sorcery spell. Its controller puts a 2/2 blue bird creature token onto the battlefield. One does creatures and artifacts. The other one does enchantments and instants and sorceries. You gotta have them both. And then Swords of Plowshare. Exile target creature, gain control, or its controller gains life equal to its power. Again, done this on my own when I have a big creature. I've done this to Sash Chocobo, gained a buttload of life. I've also done it to other people. So, great way to do. Great sorcery. So yeah, those are the 10 sorceries I have. Now artifacts. I've mentioned a few, but I only have 5. I only have 5 artifacts. But they have their own unique ways. Right off the rip, Commander Staple, Arcane Signet, tap 1. Come on. You gotta have an Arcane Signet. Now, Banner of Kinship. As its artifact enters, choose a creature type. The artifact enters with a fellowship counter on it for each creature you control the chosen type. Depending on how my board state is, depends on what creature I'm choosing. Now, like I said, Zane has done plants before and won the game. I've done birds before and won the game. This is a card that I think that if I can delay in playing until I have a good board state, I'll win the game. Because I can have 20 something birds with tokens and everything, and then guess what? They all get 20 plus 20 plus 20. So It's great. And another thing that adds to that is this next card, Chocobo Racetrack. Landfall. Whenever a land you control enters, create a 2/2 green bird creature token with whenever land enters. This token gets +1/+0 until end of turn. This triggers multiple times with Traveling Chocobo, with Roaming Throne. So I create a bunch of tokens. This is also in my my mono green standard deck. Just because I want, like I said, I want to create a bunch of birds, create a bunch of creatures. So huge. Another commander staple, Soul Ring. We all know what it does. Now this one's Trionic Resonator. Tap 2 to tap it. Copy targeted triggered ability I control. You may choose new targets for that copy. I use this for the Choco trigger. Get 2 Choco triggers is huge because I get to see what's out there, see what I'm able get an answer for someone, as well as put a bunch of creatures out and trigger a bunch of times with landfall. And depending like what I have on the battlefield is going to be huge. So, Strionic Resonator is mostly for double trigger or double Choco triggers, but I can do multiple things with it. So this has been a huge ad. This was right off the rip. I added this card. There's other decks that I feel like I should put it in, especially like Dragon having double Dragon triggers. That's crazy. But no, Strionic Resonator, huge. So yeah, those are my 5 artifacts. Now enchantments. Ooh, I only have 3 enchantments. They all are helpful. I just enchantments are one of those things in this deck that I feel like I don't need. But these 3 I do need, if that makes sense. For instance, Primal Vigor. If one or more tokens would be created, twice that many of those tokens are created instead. I'm gonna have multiple bird tokens out on the battlefield. Now this is for the whole board, which is scary, but it's helpful. And then, if one or more +1/+1 counters would be put on a creature, twice that many +1/+1 counters are put on that creature instead. Or this is where Bristly Bill comes into play, where I'm able to put multiple. Where Sauce Chocobo with Traveling Chocobo, like counters can get out of hand, especially if I double. Guess what? They get doubled. Because double. So, Primal Vigor is huge. Now, Primeval Bounty. Whenever I cast a creature spell, create a 3/3 green beast. We love to create tokens. Whenever I cast a non-creature spell, put 3 +1/+1 counters on target creatures I control. With Primal Vigor, it gets out of hand. But also, Landfall. Whenever a land you control enters, I gain 3 life. I have gained a bunch of life with this card before. It does cost quite a bit, but it is very helpful. A lot of people don't run enchantment destruction, ways to get rid of enchantments. So, yeah, Primeval Bounty is like that underrated card that I have in here, that sleeper card that like, oh, I'm gonna play the Primeval Bounty. By the way, I'm gonna play my land. Oh, Choco, boom, boom, boom. Then I gain like 15 life. It's great. Now, side quest, raise a Chocobo. When this enchantment enters, create a 2/2 green bird token with +1/+0 until end of turn with landfall. At the beginning of my first main phase, if I control 4 or more birds, transform this enchantment into Black Chocobo. Now, Black Chocobo lets me go search for a land card, any land card, put it onto the battlefield, tapped, and shuffle. And then it has landfall. Whenever a land I control enters, birds I control get +1/+0 until end of turn. So, all my birds that have that trigger, have the +1/+0, are now getting doubled. All my other birds now get that trigger. It gets huge. It gets huge. But yeah, those are my enchantments. The 3 enchantments. Like I said, I don't have many. I only have 3, but whenever they're in play, they're huge. So, yeah. Now, my favorite part is to quickly go through all my lands. Here we go. So I have 38 lands in here. I'm just going to fire them off. We got Addercar Waste, Azorius Guildgate, Blossoming Sands, Brushland, Citadel Gate, ugh, Command Tower, Fabled Passage, huge, Flooded Strand. I have 6 forests in here. They're all the full art foundation. I'm going to put the full art Choco racetrack lands in here since I bought a Chocobo bundle. Guado Salem. Guado Salem. Anyways, for playing Gateway, dual land from Final Fantasy. 3 islands that I'm going to replace. Lush Oasis. Manor Gate. Path of Ancestry. We love to scry. 4 plains. Port Town. Prairie Stream. Sea Gate. Selesnya Gate. Guild Gate. Charlayan. Yep. Nation of Scholars. Simic Guild Gate. Spara's Headquarters. Temple of Enlightenment. Still love to scry. Temple of Mystery. Scry. Temple of Plenty. Scry. I know. Thornwood Falls. Tranquil Cove. And Yavimaya Coast. So those are my lands. I have about 38 lands in here. Some people have told me to put more. Some people are like, you don't need that many. 38 is the number in this deck that just works perfectly. So, yeah, 38 is the magic number for me. But yeah, guys, that is Choco Seeker of Paradise. It is one of my favorite decks to run when people say no to Dragon, just because of the landfall. Love landfall. A lot of triggers to keep up with. But yeah, just creating birds, having fun, doing all that fun stuff. But yeah, if you like this video, leave a like on the video, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on our future deck list and gameplay. Like I said, leave a comment down below when you check out the Moxfield about what deck I should do next. And yeah, guys, other than that, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. This is my Choco deck. Let me know if there's cards in here that I should consider adding. Oh my gosh, words. Cards in here that I should consider adding or take out or whatever, guys. But love y'all. Catch you on the next one. Peace.